Hey, welcome back. So I got my irrigation supplies from DripWorks and I'm ready to install the irrigation system on this raised bed and the other two that we have in our garden. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put it all together, starting with just showing you all of the supplies that I have here, and then we'll get started. Alright, so I've laid out all of the pieces I'm going to be using, starting with the mechanical timer here. This is my pressure reducer, and this is what's going to connect from my faucet to this oval hose that's going to be coming off of here. Then I've got my T's, my elbows, I've got my end caps for the hose, I've got my inline valves that'll go from that oval hose to the drip line. I've got some more inline valves that are just going to go from hose to hose, and these I'll use to shut off the water to each bed. I've got some landscape staples to hold the hoses down. You can just use wire that you bend as well. And then I've got a big roll of that 3/4 inch hose. And over here, I've got my drip tape set up so I can measure out my lengths. So let's get started by attaching the mechanical timer and the pressure reducer and the hose to the faucet and bringing it over to the garden bed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the mechanical timer to my faucet. And next thing I'm going to put on is my pressure reducer. I want to make sure I get this screwed on. And I've checked these. You want to make sure you've got a gasket inside of these. I checked them before I got started. If you don't have a gasket, you can buy a bag of like 10 gaskets to make sure you've got it in there. It's going to really prevent leaking. And then with this connector, I'm going to come in here. You want to make sure that you get a filter for that piece. So I've got that in there. I'm going to go ahead and screw that on all the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect my oval hose. So that just gets pushed on here. These have been sitting out in the sun for a little while, which is nice because it makes the hose a little bit easier to work with. So I push that on, and then I go ahead and tighten this down all the way. Alright, so I've got that connection done. And now I'm going to come over and add the next piece, which will be the T-bar. I measured this, and it's a little bit long, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut it just right up to where I want it. So I want it to come right up to this T-post. So I'm going to go ahead and it to the hose fitting. Push it on, make sure you get it all the way up, as high up as it can go, and then screw that bottom piece back. Alright, so then we've got that done, and that'll just set right there, and then we're going to go ahead and attach this hose, which is going to come to this way, and bring the water over to the side of this bed. If you ever have any problems with leaking at these joints, you can just unscrew it, take it off and adjust it, push it, put it back on. Usually it's just that it didn't get tightened all the way. Alright. So then the next thing we'll do is we will add our corner piece, our elbow right here. just a little bit of this off because I really want this elbow to lay right against the corner. See how that lines up. Alright, that's great. So we've got that corner piece there. And I will grab one of those landscape staples and I'll actually push it down on top of this piece here. Let me go get one. Because I really want this to stay right here up against the bed. So I'm going to go ahead and just put one of these on top of this hose to keep that in place. So it'll just stay right there. So then we want to add this piece here that's going to bring the hose around the side. Go ahead and tighten that up. Actually, let me rotate this real quick so we get it bending in. There we go. Alright, now we're ready to take it up into the bed. Alright, so now I'm going to attach another elbow piece here at this junction, and this is going to bring the hose up into the bed. And then I've got one more piece of hose to go up this way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put this elbow on. And then I've got a really small piece of hose here that I'm going to use to connect the elbow with this T-bar. You want to make sure that you cut these really flat. That one was a little bit of an angle, so I'll just use this one instead. Before I tighten that, I'm going to go ahead and put this on. It's hard to get these small pieces on all the way. Just use the leverage of this pushing into the other hose to get them both secure. Alright, so now we've got that. I'll go ahead and tighten this down. And tighten this down. Alright, and then I already measured the hose for each side. So I'm going to put this right side on. Left side. And then I'm actually going to turn on the water and let this, before I add the end caps and the drip, I want to flush out any plastic bits or dirt that's in here already. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and let some water run out of the system. All right, so now I'm just gonna add the end caps. Wipe a little dirt off this hose at the end here. I try to keep the hose off the dirt as much as possible while I'm doing this. And with your end caps, you want to make sure that the actual caps are screwed on all the way too, really tight. Alright, so now we're ready to drill our holes for the drip tape and add the valves and the drip tape line. Okay, so I just drilled my hole, but I'll show you how I did it. And like I said before, I am comfortable using a drill to drill these holes. You can buy a punch that has a guard on it that will stop you from punching through the hose. If you're doing this for the first time, I would recommend using one of those. But I drilled the hole, and then I actually took my pocket knife and just cleaned up that hole because I don't want any like plastic to be sticking out. It's going to stop my valve from having a secure seal. Alright, so I've got my valve. So the skinny side here is actually going to go into the hard hose, and you see this lip. You want to push it all the way in until that lip is inside and it catches right there. Alright, and then I've already measured my drip tape, and the drip tape you want to keep so the hole where the actual water is going to drip out is up, and that will help you stop it from getting dirt in there and clogging. And if you can see, here is a slit right here. I don't know if you can see that, but that is one hole, and then 8 inches down the line is another one right here. So you want to keep it this blue stripe side up, or whole side up if you don't have the stripe on there. And I go ahead and I push this on, and then screw and tighten that up. And then I am going to actually thread this drip tape underneath my strings here. And I had pulled up all my straw that I was using as mulch to keep the moisture in, because you want to, if you're laying an irrigation system on a bed and you use mulch, you want the irrigation system to be underneath your mulch, or else you just end up using a lot of water to water your mulch. So now I'm going to show you how to clamp the ends of the drip tape so you don't have to buy end caps for it. So I come to the end of my drip tape here, and what I want to do is I want to cut a little sleeve off. Just about an inch will work. It's just a little piece like that. And then I'm going to fold it over that same kind of length 3 times. And then I'm going to fold it in half like this, like a little hot dog bun. And I'm just going to slide this sleeve over the top. Just like that. Alright, so I forgot one piece of this process, and that was to put my inline valve on so I can shut the water off to this whole raised bed. So I came back here, and I'm going to put that valve right at this T. And I'm going to put it right here because I could put it over here as well, or I could put it around the corner. But if I put it here, that means water's not trying to come this way and then stop. It's going to just stop right here at this junction, so it'll maintain more pressure going that way. So I put a small piece of hose on this T, and I'm going to go ahead and attach my valve. And you want to make sure before you attach it that if you're having it resting up against something, that it's going to be able to open. See, I've got it backwards. You want it to be able to open out instead of opening towards that raised bed. set the valve on, and then I'm just going to cut this hose because I don't need it as long as it was to fit. There we go. So now we've got our inline valve, and I'm going to go ahead and put my landscape staple back down to hold this hose in place. So I went ahead and turned the water on. I'm all finished setting up the system. Here we go from the beginning, coming on over to the bed. We've got a shutoff valve right there for this whole bed. And then each one of these lines has a shutoff valve. Got a couple little leaks that I'll check. I just need to tighten those or reinsert them. And there's 4 lines on that bed. Then I've got a line that comes down here to another T with a shutoff valve going to this bed and a shutoff valve going to the last bed. And up into the bed, we went in, shut off valves for each drip line, so you can turn this line off right here by just turning this valve off. It's on right now, got everything on. So there's the second bed. Then we come out of that T right here down this way, and we just have an elbow here that goes into this last bed. 4 more lines. What I think is really nice about drip, and maybe you can see if I come over here and I'm not in a shadow, is as you run it, you will see where these wet spots are starting to form. And so you can lay it down before you plant, run it, and then come back and pop your plants right into those wet spots, and you'll know that that's where the water, where your plants are going to get the most water. So let me see if I can get close up. You can see the water coming out. You see the water coming out right there. There's one drip. And here's one over here. Oh, that one's a little bit dark. There's some drip. See a little drip coming. So there we go. So if you want to talk through how to set this up in your own yard, feel free to email me, urbanagconservationist@gmail.com. And I'd love to talk you through it.